Hello, and welcome to the
Very second, yeah.
Hearthstone tournament being presented by EndBoss Incorporated. Coming at you this beautiful, rainy Sunday afternoon. I am Ben, Overseer Wastel.
And I'm Kyle EndBoss Smith.
You might recognize Kyle from his feature articles, regularly seen at the top of our Hearthstone and our competitive Hearthstone. He writes a weekly strategy article on decks that are competitive but off the radar. You won't see any Dragon Warriors, but you will see new takes on Tempo Mage and things like that. Today, we're not here to talk about our articles. We're actually here to host the second tournament we're running today. We've got 65 players ready to play and lined up and ready to go. We're just resolving a few last things as we put this together. Normally we would run this a little smoother, but I don't know if you've been following. If you look on our website, you can see that recently we suffered a fairly catastrophic fire and lost not only the condo we broadcast out of as our studio, but all of the equipment related to that as well. So we're here today from our brand new studio that totally isn't Kyle's bedroom with stuff shoved out of the way to allow us to stream from it.
With our microphone that I bought from Best Buy 20 minutes ago. So, yeah.
We are going to jump right into the action here today. We didn't get a lot of games broadcast last time as we worked out how this ran, but we've got administrators standing by to handle most of the issues that should come up, so we are not expecting to run into many problems that will delay the stream. So on that note, we're actually going to go into our first game.
So, EndBoss is a guy on Reddit who contacted me and said that he's always wanted to play on stream. And so I told him I'd give him a feature match in his first round match in the tournament. So he's up against, is the name Zephyr?
Zephyros, I believe.
Zephyros, okay.
Zephyros and EndBoss are just shaking hands right now, so they're going to get started.
They're just dealing with their first round bans.
We've got a delay here, so we can actually take a look at what they're playing. We have a good stream delay happening on this tournament feed, so we can see what they've done. They haven't done their bans yet, so we'll actually delay a little bit before we talk about what they're going to play. I don't want to announce. One second, we seem to have a bit of a difficulty with some people saying that they haven't been able to start their tournament, so let's make sure that that isn't the case.
Okay, so we're going to take a couple-minute break and just deal with some of these issues. We'll be back on stream in about 2-3 minutes.
And we'll see you then.
All right, and we're back. So this is going to be an entertaining tournament today. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. This will be the last gasps for some of these cards before we get into the post-nerf metagame, which will happen sometime this week. For any of you guys who haven't been paying attention, we've got several bans that have happened, or several nerfs that have happened with some of the key cards in the game. So I expect that we're going to probably see some of the last really big Yogg-Saron's and some of the last really big swings with Tuskar Totemic and some of those other ones that have been affected by the recent nerfs.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm actually very impressed with how they've balanced what they're going to fix and the problems they have. I was expecting something would happen to some of the bigger cards that we point our fingers at. I'm really surprised that our 5/5 taunt friend has made it through.
5/5 taunt for 0 seems pretty balanced.
It seems pretty balanced, but apparently Blizzard believes that because it remains the same as before. Whereas Tuskar Totemic has a very, very elegant. A very elegant nerf solution with making it now draw only from the basic totems. It used to draw any totem in the game and could get some really unfair pulls for the 3-drop. You'd pay 3, get your 3/2. And then you could also get a Mana Tide totem. You could get a Flame Tongue totem. You get a Totem Shaman, Totem Golem, which is a 6/6 for 3 when you combine the power of the 2 creatures.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting seeing how they've changed it. For the moment, though...
Yeah, we should probably focus on... I'm sure we'll get to talk about some of those as we go on in the day, but we've got the start of this matchup, and we got the Hunter against the Warrior. Did we ever catch what the bans were in this matchup?
Let's take a look at those. For this actual matchup, we have... We have had EndBoss, who is facing a setup of options, has banned his opponent's warrior option, a little ironically, as he plays his own warrior class in the matchup. And
Zephyros has, of course, banned the Shaman, and I expect to see a lot of Shaman bans today. Frankly, I think mid-range Shaman is by far the best deck in the environment right now.
Yeah, you were pushing really hard. You just missed Legend this month. I saw you got to rank 3, I think it was rank 2. Yeah, rank 2 or 3, and you were pushing around down there. And every time I wandered by your screen, it seemed like you were facing a mid-range Shaman. Like every single time I walked
more
by.
Than 50%, and it very, very skewed metagame at the moment in that regard. So really glad to see the changes. And hopefully they will have the desired effect, and we'll get to see some of the some really good changes in the metagame and a few more archetypes that end up being viable.
Okay, so. Glad to see some motion there. It's been a long term. He's trying to decide what to do with his armor up, basically.
Are we seeing this properly? Oh, okay.
I'm beginning to think that our friend EndBoss here missed his turn. He appears to have 2 mana on his opponent's turn.
All right.
Definitely some odd action going on in the stream right now. For the sake of...
Yeah, I think we might need to quit out and get back in.
We're going to very quickly restart the stream, as that didn't make any sense. EndBoss, you've got a couple games going, so hopefully this goes a little smoother and we can get your stream up here like we wanted.
Oh man, I love the way that they do Hearthstone and the way that Blizzard has constructed it, so that if you are getting lagged out of a stream, you don't actually know it for a good period of time, like 30 seconds, a minute sometimes, and really probably should work on that a little bit. And we're just trying to get back into the stream right now. Not totally sure what happened, but I blame Blizzard, so...
Yeah, we've got a pretty ridiculous internet connection here, so we're a little surprised to be running into this problem. But we seem to have come back into a very different game.
EndBoss is looking pretty good at this stage.
This particular moment, yeah.
A little better than when we left him. Not totally sure how he got there, but this is not a good situation.
I'm really surprised to see the crowd favorite here. Actually,
that must have come off an Iron Force.
It had to have, right? Yeah. I can't imagine that making the cut on its own.
Yeah, so it looks like he's managed to control this, and he's got the Elise Starseeker down. Now this is really too bad that we missed a good portion of the early part of this game, because really that's where this is usually decided. If the Warrior can get to this phase of the game with the sort of life total that EndBoss has right now,
it's very difficult to tip them over at this point.
Yeah, and we're seeing one of the cards that is getting banned, Call of the Wild, of course, going from 8 to 9 sometime in the next few days when the patch comes in. And I don't know totally how I feel about that ban at the moment. It's funny because Call of the Wild really is the only thing that has been keeping Hunter as a viable archetype, and it's certainly not overpowered. The deck, I don't think, has even gotten into the first tier yet. So it was a little surprising to see that one banned, in my view, but right now it presents a good position for Zephyros to try and make a comeback here. He's got some good options in his hand, but one of the issues that Hunter has in this matchup is that unless you get the Warrior putting some cards on the table, that Unleash the Hounds that's sitting in his hand there can't really do a whole lot. Can't really make the impact. But if you can get something like Unleash the Hounds with a couple creatures on the other side like he's got right now, it can potentially be useful because you get that pump from Leok, and I believe he's going to use that to take out the Doomsayer right now.
Okay. Yep. This is actually a really, really good turn for Zephyros here. Getting one hound out of an Unleash the Hounds is totally acceptable in my opinion here. The only real time you were going to get a lot of creatures from an Unleash the Hounds is when it had gone horribly wrong and Warrior starts.
He got the 2, but he traded 1 out already.
As you can see, there's a lot of questions that pour in here about rules.
Yeah, just for anyone watching, we do have separate admin today so that we don't have quite as much dead time on the stream.
So please, by all means, if you have trouble, we're going to splash it very large on the screen right now. If you have a problem and you need to talk to someone, then you can talk to the name that I have just put up on the stream overlay. It's also obviously available in the tournament info and on the Battlefy page as well if you are interested in where to get this.
All right. So, frankly, it looks like the Hunters run out of steam here. That Sylvanas.
That Sylvanas is quite a pick. I'm not going to call Zephyros out of the game at this point, except he can't possibly win.
Yeah, what is that?
It's not entirely hopeless. It's just I would have trouble coming up with a theoretical scenario where he could actually draw through this.
Yeah, well, he's used one of his Call the Wilds, and that's probably the only card that helps him get back in this. He's out of cards, and Warrior still has a couple cards in his hand, and Gore Owl and Brawl are pretty good at solving pretty much any problem that comes along.
Yeah, it's going to be really disheartening for Zephyros here if he gets a Call of the Wild, and all it does is get brawled. He gets stuck with, Leehawk, which it will definitely be who he gets stuck with at the end of that brawl.
Of course.
All
right. So the Warrior seems to have this pretty well in hand. And so that'll leave Zephyros down to just a Druid afterwards to try and come back. Kind of an interesting format. Same thing that we did last time around on the tournament is that we've got a format where during the first rounds you get 1 ban, and then once you get down to 4 players left, those bans will disappear. So it provides a bit of a different finish to the tournament than the start. And we're seeing right now the best of 3. If you're in the situation where Zephyros is, you're probably having to make a comeback, win 2 consecutive ones with your Druid, which is certainly capable of it. It'll be interesting to see what sort of Druid list he's running. Always Huffer.
Always Huffer. You'll hear us make that comment a few times today. There's a couple inside jokes. Kyle and I actually play quite a bit of Hearthstone just, together, not running the same decks, but we'll often sit on the couch of the laptop and run things well. Actually, this is a bit off topic, but after our studio burned down and my girlfriend and I found ourselves without a home for a while, Kyle and his wife actually put us up in their guest room. So we've had a lot of time to discuss Hearthstone, talk about things that have happened in the meta, and watch things evolve as we came closer to this tournament. It's been a lot of fun.
Out,
Yeah. Spent a lot of time nerding out. And man, if you really needed a nail in the coffin of this game, I really think that Justicar Trueheart is a pretty good answer to that.
She is just generally a nail.
It's so hard to overcome 4 armor a turn that will always happen every turn as the hunter. I mean, you've got to get this 13 health down, but you've got to do it over 4 every turn, every single time. You're going to have to... And you start losing ground, as you see right now. He's up to 15, and it just slips a little bit further away every time.
Yeah, one of the key things that you have in this matchup, and one of the reasons why Hunter's usually so good against Warrior, is because Hunter can counteract that hero power. So Warrior uses its hero power, tries to buff itself up and protect itself, and Hunter can stop the Warrior from being able to do that to gain ground. But as soon as you hit that Justicar Trueheart, all of a sudden the hero power isn't enough to do that anymore. And all of a sudden you're losing ground every turn, and that's really a difficult position to be in as the Hunter player. And this is a interesting question.
I'm
a little surprised to see that come down.
That's really brave. Most people would traditionally... Okay, we got a mind control on nothing, an infest on nothing, deal 1 damage to nothing. Who gets the 4? Gets the 4 to his own face. Restore 6 to his own face, though, so things continue. And gets a Hogger. And immediately kills said Hogger. We got an Ice Barrier, which won't do anything. A bunch more target effects. That's a good block. That's a very good block.
Yeah.
I think he just gave all of his minions +1.
+1, yeah.
And that is the end of a very, very interesting turn for Yogg.
Yeah, see, that it really is funny the way that works. I'm not sure that I like playing Yogg in that situation where you're winning, as it were. Usually you want to play Yogg as your last ditch. You're losing and throw it out just in case, because while he usually is going to be a very good play there, sometimes he's going to be a really, really bad one.
And just in case this game needed to end more decisively,
why kill your opponent with a War Axe when you can kill it with Gromash?
So that ends game 1 of EndBoss versus Zephyros. It was actually a pretty interesting game. That gave me way more to talk about than I was expecting. So let's hope they both remember. We'll go over the rules here today. We've gone very, very far to make sure that these are very clearly stipulated on the Battlefy page, not our event page. But we want to remind our viewers, if you win, stay on the deck you won on. This is last hero standing, where you pick a class, you pick Rexar, you pick whoever it is that you want to be your hero, and they step forward and fight for you. And if they win, they stay there, and they try and take it through. If they lose, that hero steps back and your second hero steps forward, and whoever has the hero standing at the end would be the winner for that game. So it's last hero standing. Stay on your deck.
Yeah, so that means EndBoss should be sticking with his Warrior, and we'll see the Warrior versus Druid matchup. And all right. See, this is why we got a separate admin, so that we wouldn't have these messages coming up on screen.
You can see the absolute pouring in of messages that we receive. We keep redirecting people to EndBoss admin number 1325, which is where you will find our admin account. He's very happy to help. He's on staff all day and is doing a great job.
All right. So we just saw EndBoss's mulligan decision. I thought it was interesting keeping the 1 bash, sending away the execute, which of course he got right back. Obviously, I think he sent away Sylvanas there, and he decided just one of the 2 bashes was good enough for him.
Now I'm really curious to see a token druid. I love token druid.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we should say this. You don't want to profitize. You don't want to bring religion or politics into a stream. We're here for lighthearted stuff, but we feel it's our duty to share with you that Kyle and I follow and believe in our Lord and Savior Yogg Saron. His will knows all in his squirrely,
His
squirrely,
tentacly ways, yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yogg knows all, can do all, and is all powerful, but no one can know the will of Yogg.
Not even Yogg.
Not even Yogg. So we're very happy. We both love Yogg. He's one of the coolest dynamics. The new nerf to him is really interesting and seems like an elegant solution to the problem that, Yogg was too powerful. He was defining a metagame when he was never supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, he was always supposed to be a fun card. I don't think Blizzard ever anticipated, and when things started happening, when Whispers came out, it was really an off-the-radar choice. It's become a standard thing that everyone is running Yogg, but...
Wow, that was a huge turn, actually. I want to take a step back and talk about what just happened there. I wasn't expecting the double spell power Moonfire kill on that 3/3, I'm not going to lie.
So that means that this has got to be the Malagos version.
Yeah. He's not really running the proper token druid. In fact, he might not have the beloved Yogg we were talking about, though. My version, definitely.
No, Malagos... Yeah. Malagos should always be.
I've run into a few examples where the deck runs out, and you're like, oh, I guess you were never actually going to play that Yogg. Okay.
All right.
But I'm talking around rank 5, rank 6, so it doesn't really have all that much bearing on how the metagame's going. But still very exciting. Such a fun and unique deck, Yogg Druid. It reminds you of Yogg and Load, but with actual beef behind it. Now that people have stopped focusing on making it an all spell-based deck and actually just tried to use the power of the spells. Yogg Druid or Token Druid has become a very, very strong deck.
Yeah, I think the two Druid decks, the Malagos Druid and the Token Druid, I don't think either one of them's really going to change all that much from the Yogg nerf. I think they'll both take Yogg out, but I'd be a little surprised to read some stuff where people online are saying, oh, well, Druid is finished without Yogg, but realistically, I think that both of those decks are very strong without it, and I don't think they really need it. Malagos has its own combo kill, doesn't really need Yogg, it's just kind of a last-ditch thing.
And I mean, Malagos isn't even the ultimate win condition on Token Druid. So often the way Token Druid wins is it just overwhelms your board. It feels like it always has an answer, it's always clearing what your opponent plays, and it's just edging out tokens that just stay on the board and stay on the board. Now, that, doesn't really hold up to Gromash in a semi-control warrior deck, but
Gromash is a really good thread in this matchup because
I want to see if he can actually put. Oh yeah, he's got the
living roots back to deal with it.
Back, so
yeah,
he might ultimately end up regretting not going straight face on that and forcing his opponent to make the trades instead. But
I think it probably makes sense. You take out the creature there, so you get some value out of it. Then you force your opponent to have to go at it. Because if you don't hit that, he didn't actually have anything. He didn't actually have the mana to be able to activate Gromash. So if he was going to the face, he was only going
to 4. Cloudy Life. Congratulations. Apparently you just hit level 20 on your Warlock, which presumably means your game went well.
Fantastic.
So I was actually expecting to see a lot less Warlocks in today's format. They've fallen out of the meta pretty hard. Discard Lock, found a home recently. But Zoolock is not the dominant force on the ladder that it used to be a month ago even.
No.
So Cloudy Life, keeping it real, either trusting in the luck of the very RNG-based discard lock, or keeping it real with Zoolock.
Oh yeah, Malkazar's Imp is such a swingy card.
Yeah.
Like, when that card works, oh my goodness, it's just insane. But
you see that second one drop on the board when they still have a card in hand, and it's just so tempting to just quit the game at that point.
Yeah.
Because Gorehowl is strong. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but
Gorehowl is strong.
Gorehowl is a very, very good card.
The big strength of the Druids right now is their ability to have huge swing turns in the middle of the game, and I think that's what we're probably going to see here. I'm kind of surprised. I would have thought the Ancient of War was coming down along with that.
Yeah, that was not exactly what I was expecting.
He really doesn't want to open himself up to a big brawl,
Which
suppose.
Is reasonable considering we can cheat and see that his hand holds one here and everything.
Yeah.
But it also just... Oh, is he going to brawl 2 targets?
It's kind of an interesting scenario when you're playing against Warrior here, because you really have to balance
He's digging for the execute, almost assuredly. So now it looks like he's going to take 8 to his own face. Although he could just try and pour damage into it. Let me try and do the... Yeah, I mean... he could throw his entire hand away for it if he wanted, but... That. Although he might disagree.
I think I'd probably just face myself if I were in that situation. But yeah, so the difficulty in playing against Warrior is that you always have to be able to balance the potential of getting blown out by Brawl. If you go and you throw down a big board, then your opponent can brawl it away. But if you don't throw down a big board, you aren't putting enough pressure on to potentially be able to finish him off.
That said, practically free 8/8s are a good answer to the lack of pressure, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder why Zephyros is throwing those down instead of throwing down something like the Ancient of War.
Well, especially since they depreciate in cost every time you hold one in your hand, basically.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that you've got a situation where these Arcane Giants are going to get cheaper and cheaper. Maybe throw down Ancient of War and something else and try and get him to brawl it away. But as long as you're just doing what he's doing here and just playing one creature a turn, then it's probably not as big a deal. I suppose that's...
And, I mean, there's no doubt he's maintaining pressure. He's really stripping the cards out of... Okay, here we go. Just Yogg right to it. We got a Healing Wave coming down first.
Yeah.
It's going to be just a 7 health Healing Wave. It didn't hit that larger health minion for 14, and it goes to... Himself. Very lucky. Now he's going to shock and silence. Oh, see, in the new nerf, that would end the Yogg change. Yogg would no longer cast any more spells, and that's how they've nerfed Yogg for the upcoming patch.
Oh, so it works on silence too?
Any effect that would stop him from casting spells will cease the effect.
That makes sense.
If he's returned to hand, killed, silenced.
Yeah.
And so that's cool.
More damage to the face.
Draws the map of the Golden Monkey very early.
The big explorer's hat.
That's actually a pretty nice play. Oh,
there you go.
Never mind.
Love the self-defeating Yoggs.
Okay.
That's always the best.
So that was definitely not the most beneficial Yogg that's ever been played.
I don't think that's what he was aiming for.
No. You're often expecting with like 8 or 9 spells like went off there that the board's going to get cleared among one of the spells. Like it happens very, very often that there's some sort of global effect.
And that's really the big reason why people had an issue with Yogg. It wasn't really that Yogg was overpowered in the sense that he was too consistent or anything like that. He was overpowered sometimes, but he was horribly underpowered at other times.
In fact, he will just outright lose you the game.
Yeah, but it's a card that you can't play around. There's no opportunity for you to go and anticipate what Yogg's going to play. Yogg doesn't even know what he's going to play.
Praise Yogg.
Praise Yogg. So it's difficult as a card to play around, and it's just, okay, throw it down. Let's see if I win or I lose, right? I can't win this game properly. Let's see if Yogg can win it for me. I
gotta say, EndBoss is probably very, very happy he literally pulled that brawl back earlier this game, because he hasn't drawn the next one, and I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth or make him decide his plays, but
I kind of suspect that brawl might be coming down.
I'm anticipating some brawly goodness here.
Yeah. It's a difficult situation. The Malagos version has a lot more ability to play through the warrior the way that you're seeing here, because once you get that auctioneer, you can draw a bunch of cards, get a lot of extra value, and the warrior doesn't have that many ways to draw extra cards to counteract that. So now you got the druid player with a ton of extra value.
Here we go. I love these turns. Let's see what he's able to put through it. So he's got a 7 damage. Oh, I think that's it. That's our
I think
turn.
it's just the 7 damage. He's going to attack for 4.
So this brawl will define this game. There's almost no doubt about it.
He's got his opponent at 9. He's got he's got the potential to put 9 damage on his opponent next turn if he throws the swipe, and then rages his face, and then uses the hero power. He can get in for 9 damage.
Let's do a drum roll. And what do we have? Oh, what a play, EndBoss. Gets to go on stream and have a moment like that happen for him.
That's rough.
That was clutch. I really,
that having been said,
liked...
this game is over because Feral Rage, Swipe is going to be the play, and it looks like we're going to game 3. That's a lot of burst damage, and that was a really good Feral Swipe off the top of the deck. Feral Rage off the top of the deck.
That's okay. Well, we thought we were in for a couple more turns, but apparently that's it.
You can RNG, I can RNG right back.
Yeah, that's too bad. So I think really ultimately what went down there is that the Yogg really swung that game. I'm not sure I would have played it. Like, if he can go back in time, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have either. He had other options that turn, and Yogg's grace did not fall or did not shine down on EndBoss that moment.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The longer you wait on him, the more powerful he is, right? The more spells you get to play, and the more of a swingy effect he's going to have. But it's difficult. Like, you look at that situation, you're like, okay, was it a good play or a bad play? Well, in hindsight, it was a good play, but the same way that you can't play around Yogg, it's difficult when you're playing Yogg and you're not in a situation where it's obvious, like your opponent has a whole bunch of creatures. You know, you're in that situation where you can look at Yogg in your hand and say to yourself, okay, I don't know if this is going to be a good play or a bad play, but, you know, let's roll the dice.
So we're going into game 3 here. Yogg might actually get to play yet again in this match. It's hard to tell.
Okay, so it looks like we're getting Rexar against the Druid, and that's a bit of a slow hand for EndBoss with the Druid deck. We haven't seen his version of it yet. Oh, wait a second.
What's wrong?
Isn't Zephyros won with his Druid? Isn't he supposed to be playing Druid?
This is really awkwardly unfortunate. Okay, well, that's a super awkward end to this streaming event. It's even more awkward that we're probably just going to have to tell them there's no point in letting the game play out.
Yeah, well, it's not the Conquest format. I mean, we hate doing game losses like this, but when you have these situations, you have certain rules set down for the tournament. Some people play by them, and other people kind of miss them. And this isn't Conquest format, so Zephyros was really supposed to stick with that Druid deck because he had already lost his Hunter, so he doesn't actually have the option of playing the Hunter.
So we're unfortunately going to have to interrupt their match and award a game loss, which means EndBoss is going to take his first tournament appearance on a stream. Really disappointing. I actually wanted to see this game, but
okay, well, we got to watch and see. Okay.
Wow.
We
well,
got the Karen.
It might not make a difference. I don't know. What's your play here, Kyle? We're new to the process. Do we let EndBoss fall to his presumed victory from this point and just...
You know what? We got it on stream. Let's watch it play out.
Okay, so just for our streamers, unfortunately, EndBoss has won this game. His opponent has not followed the rules of the tournament, which stated that he had to stay on the deck he won on. So this should have been a Token Druid versus Token Druid mirror match. But unfortunately, Zephyros changed decks. It's really awkward. We hate this, and we've done everything we can to avoid this scenario because we ran into it last time a couple times as well. And we made it rule number 3. We put it in bold. We put it in underline. We put it in the full rules. You cannot leave the challenge screen after the match has started so that you're not able to change your decks based on what you now know about your opponent, and you must stay on the deck you won the game on. It's last hero standing, and it doesn't make any sense if your hero takes a seat. Yeah. That said, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, so we'll quietly tell Zephyros after. So
yeah, more than happy to watch him lose properly instead of having to give him a loss. Plus, EndBoss was super psyched about getting to be on stream, so getting to watch an additional match with him is probably worthwhile.
Unleash the Hounds. There's its power play that it didn't get last time we saw, but I really don't think it's going to ultimately make much of a difference here, as it should be an empty... Oh, no, it won't be an empty board. Well, I can make it an empty board. Rag drop here is less likely all of a sudden, actually.
Yeah, I think you probably Karen and use your hero power, or...
See, if I was him, I'd be so tempted to just, we're not going to see it. So, EndBoss, maybe later you'll win the tournament and we can do a post-interview with us while you can tell us which you would have played there. But as it stands, congratulations to EndBoss, our first winner here today on the stream. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That was a mighty, mighty win. You definitely took Game 3 as decisively as you could hope to.
Yeah, that was a pretty quick Game 3 for sure.
So we're going to take a break. I'm going to grab a coffee. I mean, we're going to check the sound levels. And we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll line up our second match. Good luck to EndBoss. Zephyros, we hope to see you back at our next tournament. We'll do many more of these in the future. And hopefully... you'll do better in the next time. So we'll see you guys soon, and we'll be back for round 2.